Hello, good morning, everyone. We are seeing some downtick in the Nifty index, so I think it will be interesting to talk what is happening and how to think about it. Uh, Let me quickly share my screen. So mostly in just to give you the context for today's today's live session, we will be talking about the sectors that seems to be looking interesting because I'm not sure how the Nifty is gonna behave. That is because on the hourly chart, the 40R is resisting on the upside. Let me speak about the setup first and try to make sense what to do in the market. So quickly, let me share my screen. Okay. So here the setup of the Nifty index is interesting, and when I check it in the context of other indices, it is even more interesting. That is because see what has happened is that on the daily chart, the 40-day exponential has been defended. So over here also, when there was a correction, the 40 day got defended and the Nifty index rose higher. Okay, again in this correction the 40-day got defended, and at least yesterday there was a pullback. Okay, so in that case now 40-day becomes a very important support level when we look at the daily chart. Okay, if you remember what we had spoken about the swing reading as well. So the swing reading was approaching the oversold zone. See, the reason why we are talking about this every day is that so that how the behavior happens, and you can probably make more sense of how the swing indicator works and how fast it is. So basically over here, somewhere the anticipation was that the pullback might happen. That is because we were hitting the 40-day exponential mark, right? So in that case, I had mentioned that if at all we end up seeing a bounce on the hourly chart, we would look out for the moving averages to break on the upside, right? So 20-day was broken, but then the next important was the 40-day. And one more level that I had spoken about was the 61.8% retracement of the entire decline, right? So these are the indicators on the, I mean, these are the levels on the upside which we need to watch out for very closely. That is because these are an important resistance level. So far what has happened is that the 40 hour average has still not broken. Okay, now this is actually not a good sign. And in fact, if you remember, I was drawing one channel. So if I see this, what happens is that it has retested the channel and it is struggling over there. Okay. So now what may happen? My guess would still be that if this low holds, then maybe we consolidate here a bit, but eventually we should be headed higher. That is what the expectation is. But if this low is broken decisively on the downside, which is 25,001, so at that point of time I'll need to see how the indicators are behaving, especially sentiment and diffusion indicator. And at that time we'll try to make more sense about it. But at this point of time it is very important for the Nifty index to close above the 40 hour exponential average, which is now currently at 25240. Okay, so now the question is that what to do. Okay, so that's where I fall back usually to RMI or RRG. So the I was looking at RRG, and I think over there I found some couple of interesting observations. So one is that you can see that the Nifty FMCG index, right, it has moved into the green. I mean, it has moved into leading, and it has seen a very good tail. So that means the relative strength is also good. And so on the bottom is the RS, which is relative strength vis-a-vis the benchmark. So benchmark we are taking over here as Nifty 50. So relative to Nifty 50, FMCG has been doing well. in the last few days. Also, when we see the other indices, okay, so something like Nifty Auto, okay, Nifty Auto, which is now trying to break into the leading, Nifty Bank, Nifty Media, Nifty PSE, all of them seems to be doing well, and at least gaining momentum, which is a good sign. So then, what I was trying to do was to see where is it that I can see some opportunity. Okay, so FMCG index, because it is now into the leading quadrant on the daily chart. Okay, so typically you would expect some bullishness in the near term. In that, okay, see, the ones where the momentum is falling, those are not necessarily good ideas, because what might happen is that if the momentum is falling, then it is possible that maybe in the temporary phase they can go into some correction or consolidation. Okay, Nestle is trying to see some pickup in momentum after turning into the lagging quadrant. Okay, I think when I was looking at the setup, VBL looked a lot more promising, and I'll tell you why it is looking more promising. Okay, let me create a duplicate tab so I'm at least over here. So now when I type VBL over here, okay, and I see the chart, so see what is happening over here is that on the daily chart it is at the 40-day exponential average, okay, which typically is a very strong resistance. So in an uptrend it will work very well as a support level, and in downtrend it works very well as a resistance level. Okay, so this is the resistance level, and what we can see over here is that a small base is being formed right over here. A small trading range has been formed, so we need to see firstly whether this trading range breaks on the upside or no. But when I was trying to see the higher time frames, the setup got even more interesting. Now I'll tell you why. Okay, on the weekly chart we are seeing the RMI that can see a bullish crossover this week. Okay, so today is Wednesday, we still need to see how the Friday's positioning is. But if all things being where it is, or if it's slightly inches higher, then we might end up seeing bullish crossover on the weekly chart. And the monthly chart is also interesting. That is because we are coming to a point where the lower band and the 40-month average is actually at the same level. So somewhere it is hinting that this is actually a very good support in the near term. Okay, so at least if not anything, then we might end up seeing some significant bounce, maybe even till these sort of levels, or maybe till the averages. That itself is a good opportunity, probably from a short term perspective. Okay, now look, I mean, there is one disclaimer that I want to give. See, we are not trying to recommend you any trade or anything. I'm just trying to tell you the process, how to think about it. Okay, because I saw that the FMCG is getting into the leading quadrant, I went into RRG. Okay, I mean, I did not wanted to analyze all the stock. By the first look, what it is telling me, that VBL has some interesting setup. That is because it is now moving into the improving quadrant, okay, from the lagging quadrant, and there is a RS increase as well that is happening, which is relative strength increase, and the momentum is also increasing. Okay, so this makes the setup a little more interesting, and that is why when I was analyzing, I thought that it is worth discussing, because there has been a good consolidation also that has taken place. Bands have also tightened, and the weekly setup is also looking interesting. So that was one thing that I observed, which was interesting. The other one which I mentioned, which yeah, there was this media index also, which was so let me do the only indices first, and you can see that the media index was getting into the leading quadrant, right? So if you see over here, uh, yeah, okay, so it is almost there, and you can see that there is a very good tail over there as well for the media, and you can see that it is kind of on the verge of breaking into the leading. So I was trying to see the stocks within that. Okay, So over there also, the one setup that I found very interesting was the network 18. Okay, because see, I had mentioned to you that whenever the turnaround happens from weakening, what it means is that the stock could be in some sort of consolidation. Okay, when the stock gets into this kind of consolidation, that's where in the RRG, okay, it will get into the weakening quadrant, and then when the up move starts, okay, it will start turning around from there, right? So if you see network eating, something very similar has happened over here. If you see the chart, it saw an up move, correction, very similar to this up move, correction, and now it is trying to break on the upside, and that's where the momentum is also turning around. Now the best part over here is that, if you see the weekly chart, I mean weekly RRG, okay, it is breaking into the leading quadrant. Okay, that too with a rise higher in the momentum. So that is actually a good sign. Okay, so that is where, like I mentioned to you, a combination of daily and the weekly can be very interesting. Okay, so this is how I sort of spotted these stocks while I was analyzing, because I was thinking, what to discuss today and what is looking interesting. So that's where, these things caught my eye. And in fact, see, I was telling you that in the indices, okay, media auto, then yeah, these were looking good. So I was actually checking the setups as well, okay, not just RRG, but I was checking the setups as well. And you can see in all these cases what is happening is that there was an up move. Okay, now there is some sort of consolidation that is happening. Okay, and then this consolidation may, these indices are trying to break out. So I am just trying to guess, which are the stocks that can perform well. Okay, and of course, for that we also need some confirmation of Nifty index. Now I'll tell you that also why it is important, but let me also discuss Nifty auto, because that also had an interesting chart. So over there also, something of this sort is happening. I mean, it has gone up, it is consolidating, and it is consolidating above the averages. So wait, let me just refresh it. Nifty auto. It actually catches as CNX auto. Okay. So over here also, what is happening is that after an uptrend, a consolidation has happened. And if you see the Rohit momentum indicator as well, it has flattened out. And now, if we get a break from this range, okay, then it can see some sort of up move. So even even this sector was looking interesting. Okay, so that is where, that is how the setup is. Now I was telling you that why Nifty 50 confirmation is also important, because there is some sort of divergence that is happening, which means that you can see that Nifty has corrected, right? And you can see from the top it has corrected 2-3%. But when you see, say, something like a small cap 100, this has almost come back to the previous high. Okay, and it has also respected the 20-day and bounced back from there, right? So this, I mean, small cap index is actually suggesting that there is, I mean, it is in a strong uptrend, because the corrections are shallow and the up move that is happening is very fast. In fact, this is the case with the mid cap 100 index as well. Okay, where it saw correction, it saw pullback, and now it has come back very strongly. And over here also, it has some, I mean, it has some meaningful resistance over here, right? So, why analyzing this also becomes extremely important is that it will help us to get a clue. Because see, it cannot happen that the Nifty index is going down, but these indices are going up, right? So somewhere something has to converge, which means that either small cap has to correct or Nifty has to move higher. Okay. Now, if you want to decide what is gonna happen, right? I mean, you want to guess that what is gonna happen. Will Nifty catch up or will the small cap drop? So for that, that's where the trend analysis and all becomes very important. So as long as in the small and the mid cap index, until the averages are not broken on the downside, I don't think there is much to worry about it. In fact, then what I would think is that the Nifty 50 index, where we are actually seeing some attempt of a pullback. Okay, where we are seeing some attempt of a pullback. Sorry, this is Nifty 500 I did. So that's where then I would try to think that in the Nifty index where there is some attempt of a pullback, maybe over there we might end up getting follow through. So for that, the confirmation will sort of come when we try and close above the 40-hour exponential average. Okay, because that will be the first sign of strength, and eventual sign of strength will be closing above the 61.8% retracement, which is say somewhere around 25,410 to 25,420 levels. Okay, so these will sort of be an important levels to watch out for. So what we need to do is that be prepared that if at all the breakout happens, then which sectors do we want to participate in. And that's where I quickly scanned it through RRG, that which are the sectors that can be interesting to watch out for. So I think that is how it is. We can take up some questions now, because I think I tried to share what was interesting this week. I mean, what was interesting today. Maybe if you all have any doubt in the process or anything, I can try and explain you those concepts. So Sarvanan says, share the view on LNT. So we don't want to get into giving advice, but never mind. Let's try to do that. Within. So if I see the chart of LNT, okay, I'll also have to put the moving averages over here. Let me. And let me put Bollinger Band as well, so that the 20 period average comes within that only. Okay. So now see one thing that is there in LNT. So let me also zoom in. So yes, the issue with the LNT in the near term is that actually this consolidation, what was happening, and the bands which were tightening, that have started to widen on the downside. So that is not necessarily, I mean, that is not really a good sign. But I can see that there was a little bit of gap over here, which if you see it very closely, so this was the gap which LNT had formed. So previously it bounced back from there. Again, it is there. So maybe right now it is at an interesting point to watch out for. What whether it holds this support or no. And if we look at the weekly chart, so there is this crossover that is happening, but it is still above the averages. Okay, it's only when it goes below the 20-week average, and we have this RMI setup also, which is negative, which is possibly hinting towards a negative direction. So I mean, that's where it can get a little troublesome if the 20-week breaks on the downside. Okay, so I think LNT is at an interesting point because it is almost trading at the support level. So need to be to see firstly how the weekly closing happens, and whether it bounces back from there or no. Okay, because I think I had seen the monthly setup, and the monthly setup was very interesting. So see, in monthly, what has happened is that because of this consolidation, the bands have tightened a lot. Okay, usually when the bands have tightened a lot, they will act as support and resistance on the upside and the downside, right? So that's where that's how the setup for L&T is in the long term. So basically, after a good up move, in the long term it has seen some consolidation. Now whether this consolidation lasts for more time or no, that is the bigger question. And that's where analyzing the lower time frame is helpful, where it is actually coming to an interesting support level. So need to see what happens over here. Okay. Let me then take up with the next question. Gurdeep, I think I spoke about the Nifty levels. I hope that is clear now. Devesh, nice interaction. Yeah, thank you. We hope to do this more often now. Uh, Atul Kale, how to place stop loss with RMI trade indicator? Okay, so good question. The see indicator will help you to give signals. Price action or the moving average is something that will help you to derive the stop loss. Okay, so say for example, something like if I take Nifty 50. Sorry, the symbol over here is NSC for Nifty. Okay, so say for example, if I've taken something like say for example, I've taken Nifty 50. Okay, so over here, when the signal came as a bullish crossover has happened, okay. See, ideally, you might not want to be all in. That is because it is still below the averages. So somewhere over here, position sizing becomes important. Okay, but now if you ask me that if this is the setup, how do I keep the reversal level? So assuming that you had saw swing and everything. So at that point of time, this becomes sort of your reversal level. Now if you are at a point where you haven't taken any trade, for example, okay, and you want to do a fresh trade, so I wouldn't recommend doing anything. That is because right now the RMI is sort of threatening to get into the bearish zone, by giving a bearish crossover. So ideally now what I would want to see is firstly a breakout from this consolidation and a move above the 40R, because that's where the trend will then turn in the favor of the bulls. Okay, and then there will be these sort of hurdles that we'll want to look out for. That is the falling trend line, which is at 25.5, 25,470 or so. Okay, so in case if looking at the swing and this RMI, where both of them were indicating that some sort of up move can happen, so at that point of time the reversal would have been this. And after that, if you want to trail your reversal levels, it's up to you, but actual reversal level is this. If you want to do any fresh trades now, then ideally we should get above this consolidation. Only then the trend will, it will be more of a bullish confirmation that we would get, that this reversal which started from 25,000, that is actually true and it has more legs on the upside. Okay, so yes, every time on the weekly chart Nifty corrects to 20 EMA, the first touch. Every time on weekly chart Nifty corrects to 20 EMA, first touch 2600 or 20 EMA. So Akash, I firstly we don't use 20 EMA. We actually use 20 simple moving average because EMA is fast. So I would only think of the 20 week if the Nifty breaks and sustains above the 40-day exponential average. Okay, I mean that's where I would start thinking about that. But until the 40 days not broken, the probability of it rising higher towards 26, 25, 669, and then possibly the all-time high is very high. Okay, so watch out for this. I mean, that is the simple answer I can give you. United Spirits. Actually, I was checking United Spirits because in RRG it was giving an indication of a turnaround in momentum, right? I think it was. See, now see, this is actually a good one. You can see that on the daily chart, United Spirit is trying to, show an increase in momentum. But what is so far not happening is the relative strength improving, which means that it is not outperforming the market. So, need to be a little careful with this. And in the next, when I see that United Spirits is entering the lagging quadrant, so this is sort of a red flag for me. Okay, now having this into context, let me try and check what is United Spirit doing, and I would want to see it above the averages. So see, on the daily it is not above the averages, which is not a good sign. I mean, though RMI is in bullish mode. So what happens is that when the RMI is in bullish mode, okay, so when the RMI is in bullish mode and the crossover happens basically below the averages, then at the max, what you can expect is a pullback up till the 20 or the 40-day exponential average, and then it can again go down. Okay, you can see in these cases. See, RMI had turned to bullish. Okay, but averages did not got crossed. Similarly over here, and you can see these patterns repeating again and again and again. So that is why firstly we look out for the setups where the prices are trading already above the averages. Okay, and then a crossover happens, because then it leads to a clean move. Otherwise, what may happen is that this crossover might just be an indication of a pullback, and then it can go down. Okay, so that is what the daily chart is suggesting. Now when I look at the weekly chart, over there also it has broken the averages, and it is sort of in a channel as such. And given that the RRG has also shown that it can it has gone into the lagging quadrant, so then the expectation would be that probably it might drop to lower band or this. And I mean, I could make this a little more decisive decision. That is because of this, because RRG may, when a stock comes to the lagging quadrant, usually there is a bit of a lag. I mean, there is quite some underperformance that you end up seeing in those stocks. So I mean, I have noticed that personally. So that's why I wouldn't want to bet against RRG. Uh, GRSC, if not discussed. I was checking GRSC. The latest price action is not good. The reason being, firstly, you can see that the weekly has gone into sell, and daily, when I was checking, it has broken. So what had happened was that when this fall occurred, okay, when this fall occurred, it went through a sideways consolidation phase, and this consolidation broke on the downside eventually. You can see over here, this was the sort of minor consolidation that it saw, but that broke on the downside, which is not a good sign. And also, in terms of chart pattern, it has sort of formed this double bottom top. And double bottom top, if you Google it, these are usually signs of a bearish reversal pattern, which suggest that probably this can be an important top as well. I'm not sure, but yes, this can be the case. So need to be a little careful. And if at all, any bullish thing has to happen to the stock, for that it needs to break above this daily averages. Until then, it will become weak. Okay. Now, let me do one thing. Let me also check it on RRG, so that, so say if I am putting into one of the watch list GRSE. So normally this loading comes when the 5 minute data gets updated. So it takes a little time to process. Let me refresh and see. So let me, yeah, now GR. I don't know if that has got added. Okay, it has got added. So now I have to search where is GRSC. So over here you can see that on the daily, see the momentum is increasing, but you can see that the relative strength is getting bad because it is moving on the left hand side. So this is not necessarily a good sign. And even on the weekly RRG, if I see, I think over there also, due to this correction, the momentum would also be falling. Yeah, you can see that this momentum is also falling. So until it doesn't see that sort of turnaround, you need to be a little careful. Okay, while it is going on the right, but I have explained this, in detail while doing the RRG webinar as well. See, what happens is that momentum will turn first, and then the RS will turn. Okay, so in this case, if the momentum is turning on the downside, at some point of time RS will flatten and it starts turning down. That means that the underperformance will get even more evident then. Okay, so need to be a little careful, because even price action is not supportive, and RRG is also not that great for that. So this is how basically you can check multiple things and sort of confirm how to form a view for a stock. On YouTube, laptop message section is disabled. I don't think so. I'm not sure. The uh, we reviewed United Spirits. See, actually, I don't want to get talking about the stocks. Okay, I want to talk more on the process. If you have any issues, uh, you can just check the setups, and you can let me know whether is that helpful. Like supposingly you have mentioned over here UBL is better. I could see that in the FMCG basket, UBL was also trying to turn around. So let me analyze that. Okay, because I honestly don't want to get into the process of recommending or anything. We might just review what is happening, uh, because even I had seen that there was some turnaround that we had seen in UBL. So UBL, let me check what is happening. Okay, so in UBL, it is at the 40-day. Okay, and let me see the weekly chart. So actually, in the weekly chart, what could possibly be happening is some sort of, I don't know, you call it a triangle or an ascending triangle. This could be forming. So yes, I think on the daily chart, if the 40-day is broken on the upside and it decisively trades above that, then it might end up becoming interesting. That is because even you can see UBL, if so UBL in the daily is actually, on the weekly is very bad. Okay, on the daily it was showing some signs of a turnaround, if I had seen correctly. But this UBL on the weekly is not that good. So maybe technically, if it crosses above the 40-day exponential average, then maybe it can get interesting. So probably worth keeping on the watch list. So there was one more question. What is the significance of weekly time frame in RRG while analyzing stocks? Two, can we analyze historical data of RRG on the daily time frame for more than 1 year? I think, wait, I need to see. I think for daily, the max range that we had given was 1 year. So yes, it is not right now possible, but we are trying to optimize and see if we can try and give more data. for that. But usually, see, these are helpful in understanding how the stock behaves, right? Say, for example, if I do it 1 year, so this sort of helps you to get sense of at least one cycle how it has behaved, when it is going up or down in terms of relative strength and momentum. But please understand one thing: RRG is is about the relative performance. Okay, so even if the market is going down and the stock is outperforming, it can come into leading. That doesn't mean that it can give absolute return. So please keep that in mind. And you asked me the question, what is the significance of weekly RRG? So Julius, who's the creator of this indicator, he himself suggested that weekly is the one that he watches very closely, because over there the signals, if at all it comes, it lasts for few weeks to few months as well. So that's where it sort of gives us a bit more reliable, indication, right? So that's where through the weekly, what happens is that you try to form a view from a medium term perspective, and then you might want to look at the daily chart for your execution and to understand what can happen in the near term and how can you time it better. So ideally, looking at weekly RRG is best, because you get to know about the broader trend, and daily can be for very short term execution. It can help you. Okay. Uh, the same question from the same. The gentleman is the same, and the question is, uh, currently Nifty FMCG is in leading quadrant on the daily time frame, whereas on the weekly it is in lagging. So, Mani, good question. This is what I was actually talking about. So, daily, mein, what is happening is that there is some sort of breakthrough that we are getting in FMCG, right? And in the weekly also, where if I had analyzed, if I remember correctly, the stock is now turning around from the lagging quadrant, right? You can see over here. So there is still an underperformance over here, but it is trying to turn around from there. Now I'll tell you why FMCG specifically is looking very good, because FMCG. Okay, maybe when you see this chart, it might make more sense to you. Wait, CNX FM. So what specifically caught my eye was the monthly chart, because in monthly chart what is happening is that there was a pullback till the 40-day exponential average. This entire cycle got completed, and now it is trying to turn around from there. Okay, so this monthly chart was specifically what caught my eye, and that's where I started digging more into what is happening into daily and the weekly. And in fact, if you see the daily chart also, there could be, there is a possibility of this inverse HNS pattern also developing. Okay, so I think, I don't know. At the face of it, it looks like an interesting sector to watch out for, and that is what even RRG is also confirming. The main thing that we will need to watch out for is that how quickly does it come out from the lagging, and when it can start seeing outperformance. That's where the real game will then would be. Right now it is at an early stage of a turnaround. So let's see how it plays out. But it definitely looks very interesting. DV, it's very insightful. Thank you so much. Radico suddenly turning from daily. Yes, I saw that, because Radico was actually seeing a good turnaround in terms of price action as well. Okay, so if you see over here, so Radico is already on the weekly chart. It is gaining strength to strength, and even on the daily chart, it came back very quickly from lagging to leading. Okay, but actually, when I saw the chart, the risk reward is not that great. That is the only problem that is with Radico. So, say for example, if I see over here Radico, the problem is that even if I want to enter, okay, what will be my stop loss? What will be what will be my stop loss? What will be my entry point? I'm sort of struggling with that, and plus there is some sort of resistance over here as well. So that's where, I mean, while on RRG it is looking very strong, and the reason why it is looking very strong is because of this up move. You can see it has almost seen a 10% kind of up move at the time when the market was correcting, right? And that is why you have seen a very sharp outperformance and it moving to the leading. KPIT, RMI indicator. I am sorry, IMV strikes subscriber. Can I access inside my trading view instead of no, Balaji? So I had mentioned this in yesterday's stream as well, that RMI indicator. I mean, when we had not built strike, Sir had coded RMI on the trading view, but it is now exclusively available on the I mean the strike platform only. Okay, so I think it's 11:40. It's time to wind up. I think it was a very good discussion. I mean, in fact, even you all suggested some very good inputs as well in terms of stock. So good. You know, let's learn together and let's discuss market together so that we can try and be on same page, and we can try to learn more from each other. So see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow next week. See you tomorrow as well around the same time. Okay. Thanks all, and see you tomorrow.